Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is, as I nurture and evolve my stories, I can evolve my life. And before we dig into today's astro, I would love to ask all you prayer energy workers, warriors, to send good vibes to one of my very dear friends who is completing a huge healing process cycle that she's been going through over the last few years. So please, over the next 2 weeks, please send her good vibes as she finishes up this very intense cycle. Thank you for that. So today, I am loving the message that came through. We are in our second Evolution Revolution day, and these are days where we can have that breakdown breakthrough, where we can do the evolution revolution process, where we have to recognize that these things that are coming up that are bothering us is meant to help us shift. And we have today Mercury and Chiron working in a square. So there's a challenge here. And you know the movie Death Becomes Her from a really long time ago, I think the 80s or 90s, Goldie Hawn. Your stories become you. You become the stories that you tell. So as we have Mercury in Cancer, we are recognizing the tie between our mind, which is where we tell our stories, and then our emotions, which is then where we feel the stories, and then we become the stories, right? And Chiron in Aries is our I am. And so today's a really good day to start recognizing what stories you've been telling that you have been becoming. And if this is the becoming that you want for yourself, if these stories are the stories you want to continue telling for your life. Now, I know sometimes we can get caught up in well, this is what's happening, this is the story. But isn't it amazing how we can get caught in these cycles? I believe our words and our mind are really powerful. I also know how hard it can be to shift the stories. And yet, that's what it feels like. It's recognizing where we have become our stories. And if we are not liking the story that it keeps showing up, that we can engage our truer I am. Because I feel like if we don't like the story we're telling, that we're not completely tied into who we are. That we're tying into maybe a version of ourselves, a coat that we've put on, something like that. So we have the opportunity to change this energy. Now, we have that Mars Yod going on. Still working with Palace, so there's still those patriarchal energies. I think a lot of the patriarchal stories of the world feed into the stories that we tell ourselves. We still have Pluto feeding in. Pluto, those power positions. And a lot of times in those stories, we can have victimized versions of ourselves that we keep playing into, that we keep giving our power away into. And then Neptune, there's something cosmic, there's something destined about this, and yet it's going to be love, guided love, actional love that can help us in our process of changing our mind around our stories. Now, Moon is in Aquarius. What is the vibe of the story you would like to imbibe? What is the vibe of your truest you? Aquarius helps us tune into that. And I am excited for Pluto in Aquarius because of that. I think Pluto in Aquarius is ultimately going to help us really learn to work with the vibrational energies on deeper levels. So Moon in Aquarius is going to be squaring Jupiter in Taurus, and Uranus in Taurus. And Taurus can bring up the stories we tell about our worth, the stories we tell about our value, the stories we tell in the world about money. I just recognized a story I was telling today. I was talking about cars and how expensive they are, but that is a story at the same time, even though I can look at it and be like, well, that's true. They use cars with 200,000 miles or plus. It's so out of control expensive, right? See, look at my story, right? It doesn't have to be that way because we do live on an abundant planet. But it's so interesting how easy it can get into those grooves. So we want to watch those grooves. We want to watch the stories, and we want to start working on where we can shift the story. So, that had some money focus. It is okay that cars are expensive when you are in an abundant mindset, when you are in a prosperous mindset, when you can trust in the value of things, right? And so working on that may be the shift. So this yacht is just going to keep increasing over the next few days through Thursday. One last thing to mention, we also have the nodes about to hit 0 degrees, and that 0 degrees has powerful transformational energy. So as we're talking about all this money, worth, abundance stuff, that's all North Node and Taurus work, and that's for sure we're going to be wanting to lean into and watch where those fears and survival pieces creep in with the Scorpio energies. So we've got inner child. This is a lot of these stories that we tell probably started in our parents, truly, and in their ancestors, truly. But we can find the root where we started picking them up as a child and where they've become our mask, where they've become the part of ourselves that we experience and live in this world. And yet, we can recognize where it is an illusion. Oh, I had such an interesting insight. This is totally off track, and it'll probably be for some other time, but I'm going to bring it now. I was just thinking about how never really, or most of the people I know never really feel like they ever reach adulthood. Like, what even is adulthood? What is being an adult? I will perpetually feel like a child. And I recognize that's actually not a bad thing, to be a child of the universe. Like, we are a child of the universe. And I feel like this is what Jesus meant when Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me." It's us recognizing ourselves as the children of the universe, looking to Jesus, God, Shiva, whoever can guide you, support you, and recognizing them as a parent, as a guide, as a teacher, and allowing ourselves to not know, allowing ourselves to be the child, so to speak. So that popped into my head today, and I spent a little time contemplating it. So maybe that's for somebody out there too, because it was very profound for me in the moment. We have the inner voice card. Listen to your inner voice, especially when trying to change your stories. A lot of times our inner voice, our high self, actually can help you in shifting these stories, but the mind that tells the story is usually just so much louder. So the inner voice can help us get beyond these illusions of these tall tales that we tell. And finally, slowing down to notice, slowing down to feel, slowing down to hear these messages that are coming through is all part of it. I would say slowing down, taking a little time to get grounded in this energy will be really supportive as well. So I'm going to leave that here for today. You can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. Besides that, the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and honor your values. Namaste.